The views and opinions expressed by the participants on this show are not necessarily those of Stewart Information Services Corporation, Stewart Title, or Stewart Insurance. Before you make any investment, you should seek the advice of your investment advisor or attorney.
Whether you're a real estate broker, realtor, homeowner, buyer, or seller, everything matters when it comes to real estate. This is Real Estate Matters with Stewart Title. Stewart Title's Bill Napick and guests open the door to what really matters in owning, buying, and selling real estate. And now, Real Estate Matters with Stewart Title, brought to you by Stewart Insurance. Here to inform, entertain, and inspire, Bill Napick.
And welcome to the show. It is Real Estate Matters with Stewart Title. Thank you for joining us again. I am your host, Bill Napick. A super show, as always, is right here for you. We have a variety. We're going to talk about real estate, and we're even going to talk about food today. That is so awesome. So thank you again for joining us. As always, don't forget to go to stewart.com/radio where you can hear this show again. You could also see the tremendous guests, and you could go back to the show archive. Once again, that's stewart.com/radio. We're also going to hear a super insurance segment is upon us later in the show. In addition, you hear about Stewart Title business development officers. Yes, we have one of our fine business development officers here today. So put your seatbelts on. You're going to need them right here on Real Estate Matters with Stewart Title as we begin right now with broker owner Shelley Walzel. She is with Walzel Properties. Shelley, welcome to the show.
Thank you. So happy to be here.
Is there a better time to talk about real estate in such a unique market than right now?
It is a very unique market. Lots of things going on, lots of changes. The pandemic has changed us. The industry is changing. The way we market, the way we reach our clients, it's just changed in so many different ways.
And the scope of your business, we're excited because we're going to hear about some of the details there, the reach that you have. But first of all, your company, let's tell people about your company and perhaps a few distinctions.
So Walzel Properties is a Texas-based family-owned brokerage. There's about 1,100 of us. We're spread out all over Texas. We have 12 locations. So we're in Houston, Austin, Dallas, San Antonio, Corpus Christi, Galveston. We're in all the major cities.
We need an hour or a show for each one of those locations, Shelley, right?
Well, what that means for our agents is that their playing field is a little bit bigger here. You know, they can reach out to the Austin market if they have an investor who's looking for rental properties or commercial properties, or they can reach out to the Dallas market. We are wholly owned, so we get to kind of make this up as we go and evolve it into what we want it to be.
Well, first, we do want to hear about those other markets. I mean, we know about people moving to Texas in general, Houston in general, and then the markets that you're covering. But first of all, let's talk a little bit about what's going on here lately in the Houston market from your perspective as the broker owner of your company.
Mm-hmm. Well, the market's on fire. We already know this. We know that it's definitely a seller's market.
It's like we've never seen, in fact.
It's insane. It's absolutely insane. And you know, you have to, if you are a seller, you know that you're going to sell well, you're going to do well, but you have to have an agent who knows what they're doing, and you have to have an agent that can navigate through all of the different, you know, situations that you might find yourself if you're that they might find themselves in. If you're a buyer, you especially need a good, seasoned, qualified, trained agent to help you. Make sure you're not overbuying. Make sure that you're buying in the right place. Make all the different things that a good buyer's agent does for you.
Well, in fact, the words come to mind now more than ever because of the some of the challenges, but also the pace of the market is like we've not seen, maybe like I've never seen anyway.
Yeah, it is.
So and the other challenge I think is, and you see this as a broker owner, I would think a lot of people are getting into real estate. It might be a little bit more difficult if I'm a brand new agent. How do I insert myself and become successful in this market where, as you said, if I'm a buyer, especially now, I want someone seasoned like yourself.
Right.
So for that new agent, what are the words of counsel that you would give someone like that? And how best are they able to insert themselves in the market, let's say?
I would think if you were a new agent, you would want to align yourself with a good team who's experienced, a brokerage that can train you,
Like Walzel Properties?
surround you. We're known as a high training brokerage. When you Google us, you probably read that more than anything else. In today's real estate industry, you have to know what you're doing. You have to have resources. You have to have tools. You have to have support. It is crazy out there. It's a great time to be in real estate, but you have to have your team. Stewart Title, we work with them often. The more people you can have in your circle to help get you through, the stronger you are, the more knowledge you'll have, the better you can prepare that buyer and seller.
So when we think about these major markets in Houston, or in Texas rather, we have Houston, no doubt. That's where we live. That's where the show is broadcast, but people hear it all over. So we have Houston, San Antonio. My son lives there, by the way. Austin and Dallas. We'll call those the major ones. Which one's on fire the most? I think I know the answer, but tell everybody.
Yeah, I would probably have to say Austin, although Houston and Dallas are just right behind them. It's strong everywhere. Texas has always traditionally been a very strong market. Austin is probably leading the pack right now.
So what do you think it is as far as Austin goes? What is it about Austin that makes it lead the pack at this moment?
Well,
and that's subject to change. It may switch around. Who knows, right?
It does. San Marcos is really growing right now.
It.
So the surrounding parts of Austin, the land is amazing. The trees, the hiking, all the things that you can do in Austin is a big pool. They're like their own little country. It is true when they say Austin is weird, but they are their own little personality, and that attracts people.
Well, one of the things when I used to go to Austin a lot that I liked about it then is it reminded me of two of my favorite places as far as ambiance goes and scenery. I'm from Pennsylvania, the rolling hills of Pennsylvania, the East Coast there. And then I also used to love to visit California, Southern California. So you have some of that new California architecture blending those two, I think, nice places there. But they don't have the economy that Houston has, right? The diversity of economy with the medical center, the ship channel, all the things we have, oil and gas here.
Yeah.
So I guess that's the drivers as we think about Houston.
It is the medical field, the oil field, all the service industries that Houston has. You can't beat it.
And then what are the drivers, let's say, for Dallas? What do you see there?
In my opinion, Dallas is a lot like Houston. The personality of I feel like each city has its own little personality. Dallas is very similar to Houston, a little bit more formal. The hills are beautiful. The landscaping of Dallas is so pretty. That would be the draw, I would think.
So, and as we look at the scale, let's say we say Austin's the busiest. We come down. Second is both Houston and Dallas, kind of like you're describing.
Probably.
And then that leaves San Antonio, it sounds like.
Well, all the fillers, the San Marcos, all the cities in between, the Tyler, Mesquite, the Nacogdoches, the College Station, all of that is investors are looking at that, and they're seeing that those are blending the larger cities.
Well, that's right. We think about the larger cities, and I know myself looking at investment properties kind of all around between these major markets. There's Canyon Lake.
Yes.
But before we get on to stuff like that, I do want to ask you. You live here in the Houston area with your family.
I do.
Right now, and because you have a presence, your company has a presence in the major markets. If you didn't live in Houston, just curious, what would your second preference be?
Second city?
Second city of all the four we just mentioned. Just curious.
Well, this is a family-owned company, so. My husband does the property management. I'm the broker. My daughter's the trainer, the training coordinator. My son does the funding. So, and my son lives in Austin, and works out of our Austin office. So, I think I would probably go country.
So you would go somewhere in the middle.
I think I would.
I'm hearing that there's also a big demand for the rural properties that are, again, like a Canyon Lake, maybe even Brenham. I don't know. What's happening in these other areas that aren't the big four, we'll call it?
Yeah, well, those are the places to go and invest now. Because
right now?
The bigger cities.
Before we finish the show, maybe even
now.
Right now. Sign me up. But that's right. No, time is of the essence there, too.
Yeah, it is. There's a saying that says if you want to buy real estate, you always buy on the outskirts because, the real estate will move in that direction.
Living here my adult life in Houston, there is no question it is expanding in every direction. And the way we're positioned, we have room to go almost in every direction except that southeast. But otherwise, it is expanding everywhere. Like I was in Waller the other week. Tell me what you know about Waller, if you don't mind, because it seems to me wherever they have those Buc-ee's, so you've got a Buc-ee's up there near Cypress, right? 290, there's a Buc-ee's up there. There's another one on I-10, and then you have a highway, not a highway, but you have a road that goes between them. You have this little town called Waller. I'm having a feeling a lot of development is going to be happening, maybe happening right now. What's happening?
It is happening right now. Somebody told me the other day that there's been a huge piece of land out there just purchased for 7,000 homes.
7,000?
Yeah, it's a big operation, a big development. So that's the Waller, but you also have the Bellevilles and all the tiny little cities that are going to benefit from all of that.
Beautiful, also beautiful places to go to. And the nice thing about as we take Waller or Belleville, even very close to Houston, door to door, less than an hour in some cases.
Absolutely. Katy, Fulshire, they're all on fire right now.
Let's, as we mentioned, these areas that are local, as far as your company, as far as your office that you work out of, and it's in Cypress, is that right?
It is. We have 12 locations, and 9 of those locations are in Houston. So we have Willis, Conroe, Kingwood, the Woodlands, Katy, Cypress, Pearland, Galleria. So we have agents all over. It's my job to make sure that those agents understand the market where they are, that they know how to coach their clients into what's happening right now and how that will best benefit them. The idea right now is to have the training, to make sure that our agents are armed and knowledgeable with what's going on in the market so they can help their clients.
Yeah, that sounds very interesting. In fact, it's ever changing. Even the paperwork, I don't know how you all keep up with it because there's always something new there. And so for when people try to do this themselves, now more than ever, they need the right real estate agent,
Absolutely.
whether, in my opinion, whether they're buying or selling, someone that is seasoned and knows what's going on, like you, Shelley Walzel.
Thank you.
As far as trends, Shelley, what are you seeing? Are there any other trends that we haven't talked about that maybe you're seeing that's happening right now? Because we know from today, last year, and the year before, it's changing.
It is changing. And just in the past year, we've had so many changes. The social media continues to be strong, especially now that, people are trying to stay distancing and away from each other. Social media is really, really big, and it's free to a lot of people for not buying ads. So that's a definite plus. Instead of open houses, people are doing online open houses. They're a lot of video marketing, a lot of technology being used right now.
Now, as you're licensed right here in Texas, let's say you were moving to New York, Ohio, Utah, I don't know. But if you were looking for your own real estate agent, what in an area you don't have a license, what are some of the things that you think, in your experience, that are key things that are must-haves when you bring on the services of a real estate professional?
I think the key is communication. That agent has to be able to know the market and know how to share that with the client, buyer or seller. They need to know how to communicate with them and let them know what's happening in the market and the different scenarios that could happen when an offer comes in. To be able to communicate that to a buyer and seller who's not in the trenches every day is, I think, very valuable.
That is a big thing. We're talking with Shelley Walzel with Walzel Property. Shelley, before we close this little segment, what else would you like people to know?
I want people to know that it's a great time to buy still, even though the market is very retail right now. I think it will go higher. It's a great time to sell, obviously, because you are in the driver's seat right now. It's a seller's market. I want people to know that having a good team around you when you go do this transaction, probably the biggest transaction of your life, to have it, this should be a very pleasant experience. It shouldn't be hard. You should, and if you have the right people around you, if you have the right training, if you have the right tools and support, a newer agent at our company can always team up with me. I'm a non-competing broker, but I pair agents together with more seasoned agents all the time. They need that support, and the buyers and sellers only benefit from that.
Almost forgot. What about property management? If someone needs help in the property management, they buy a lot of people buying rental properties right now. Let's tell people how you help people in the property management aspect.
We do have a property management arm of our company. We don't allow our agents to property manage because it gets messy real quick. But we do have an arm for our agents who work with investors who don't want to be hands-on. And
Shelley, if someone wants to reach out to you or your company, what should they do?
You can call our corporate office, which is in Houston, and that number is 832-674-4960. 832-674-4960.
And the website is?
WalzelProperties.com.
WALZEL Properties.com. Shelley, thank you for being on the show.
My pleasure.
Let's welcome Brooke Walzel with Walzel Properties. Brooke, welcome to the show.
Hi, Bill. Thank you for having me.
And thanks for setting this up, Brooke. You were so instrumental in putting this together. We really appreciate that.
Yes, well, it's definitely a pleasure to be here today.
So let's tell people, your company reaches out so far and wide in the Texas market. You're experts on the marketplace. Let's tell people your role at the company.
Okay, of course. Well, I am the training and development coordinator here at Walzel Properties. My job is really just to make sure that all of our agents have the proper training that they need to succeed in their business. What that entails is, kind of just making sure that they know what's going on with the new paperwork, if there's new addendums or things like that. Real estate is always changing in that sort of way. So just making sure they know what's going on, they're in the loop with everything. Also making sure that they have classes for continuing education, sort of things like that.
Well, in fact, and now is this for all 1,100 agents?
Yes, it is.
That's a gigantic job. How do you stay so calm and relaxed, Brooke?
That's a good point there. So I like my job. It's really nice. So a lot of the times it's social media based. So I'm able to, be in the office. I don't necessarily have to be there in Austin with them or San Antonio because we are very spread out. But I'm able to do a lot of things via social media and things like that. So
and you're still getting the feel of the pulse in all these major markets, not just Houston. But as far as training, what are the things that you do to stay on top of real estate and the real estate market to be able to train all these 1,100 agents?
That's a good question. Really, a lot of the things I do is just ask them what they need. So I listen a lot to their needs, and I just make sure to do everything I can to have those needs met.
Well, indeed, in the world of selling and offering services and products, listening, sometimes we forget, but listening is so important as we listen to our buyers, sellers, and in your case, the agents, right?
Right. Yes, sir.
Let's tell people the website, Brooke.
WalzelProperties.com.
There you go. Thank you, Brooke Walzel.
Thank you.
In today's litigious society, it is imperative to have the proper insurance to offset the many risks facing your business, especially if you're a real estate broker. Your errors and omissions and cyber liability insurance can help limit the threat of these risks if you know what to look for. Not sure if your insurance addresses the risks facing your business? Contact Stewart Insurance to be confident your brokerage can withstand these risks. Stewart Insurance, 866-798-2827. StewartInsurance.com. That's StewartInsurance.com or call 866-798-2827.
As we think about real estate, no real estate show would be complete without talking about food. We have the owner of the Federal American Grill with 3 locations, Matt Bryce. It is a favorite among Houstonians. It's especially a favorite among all the real estate professionals here in Houston. Matt, welcome to the show.
Bill, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure.
And I'm a regular customer. I especially frequent the Hedwick Village and also the Katy location. Your restaurant is incredible, and every time I go, it's always packed.
Well, I appreciate that. It's a blessing, have a strong community in our area, and they just have really come out to show, especially during, these COVID years. So it's been a little tough during that time, but we've really excelled because of the community. It's been amazing.
You've marched right through it in a tremendous way.
Yes, we did, actually. when I decided to open up, during the time when we were closed, I think it ended up really helping us. So I wasn't doing it for that reason. It was really to help out the employees. They all needed to pay their rent and they couldn't. They were calling me and nobody was doing anything. So I felt like it was the right thing to do, and it actually has been a blessing since.
Well, in case somebody has not been to your restaurant, and let's say they're in the outer reaches, I don't know, maybe Woodlands, Willis, we've heard about Cypress or Galveston. Let's tell people about your restaurant because it's so good they need to drive in to one of the locations. So let's tell them about it.
Sure. American fare. We make everything in-house from scratch. I've been in kitchen since I was 12 years old and still in it to this day, now that I'm a lot older. But it's a lot of fresh fish every day. Cheeseburger egg rolls are one of the fan favorites. We serve prime steaks, but it's not a steakhouse, so you get sides with your steak. We have 600 plus whiskeys. We're an old-fashioned bar. A lot of fun.
It really is. In fact, as I've been there many times, but once I order, I look at the menu anywhere I go, but your menu in particular is very interesting. Going there, I look at the menu. In fact, I have one right here, as you know. I look at the menu and I think about what I'm going to order. Sometimes I think about what I'm going to order the next time because I love food so much. But the menu construction and menu design for any restaurant is so important, what you're going to provide and what you're not going to put on there. Let's tell people what went into the design of your menu because it's fascinating, actually.
Thanks. It takes years of research. Basically, what I did in this case is took a collaboration of all the restaurants that I've really enjoyed and experiences that I have in the past with influences of other chefs and whatnot, and really put this together. But what had happened was when we first opened 10 years ago, it started as one menu. And then it wasn't going so well, to be honest with you, for the first year and a half. We started listening to the guests that were coming in saying, why don't you have this? Why not this? Why not add this? And luckily, we're smart enough to know that we didn't know what we didn't know, so we figured we'd listen to them, started working on recipes, and that's how this thing progressed, is because of the regulars that were coming in and saying, oh man, I love meatloaf. Why don't you have meatloaf on there? So I made meatloaf. It's actually my mom's recipe, Janice.
And I've had that several times. And the portions are abundant, by the way, especially in the entree section.
Yeah, we wanted to make sure you get a great value for that too. Because you can go out, again, to the steakhouses, which, of course, I love, but you can go and spend $150 a head, where at Federal, you can come in for about $50, $20, $25 at lunch or whatever the case may be and get out of there.
In fact, in going to the sandwich portion of the menu, the Philly cheesesteak is one of my favorites because you get a great sandwich, but you also have fries with it as well. Mm-hmm. And you can mix them up. The last time I was there, I didn't know this. After having the sandwich many times, I thought you could just get the fries, but the server actually gave me the fries and the Cajun fries combo.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we did the Cajun chips as an option.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, the Philly's a big seller, by the way.
And the other thing, the fried oysters, I find that as a tremendous, the way you prepare them and present them is tremendous.
Thanks. Those are actually been on the menu since the beginning. So those are one of the originals. A lot of people come in for appetizers with those. They have that little kick to them. And what people love is they're crunchy, yet you get that oyster in the middle. It's a rice flour. So rice flour really makes it a lot crispier.
I knew there was something special. I couldn't put my finger on it, but as you describe it, all those elements are there in a major way. So as you started 10 years ago, the second location was over there at Voss and I-10, Hedwig Village we call it, but as you started, it wasn't an overnight success, your restaurant. You had to get traction. Let's tell people about what that was like as a leader. That's a big investment to have a restaurant or any kind of business, and you're starting out maybe a little slower than you'd like. What was it that got you on that track? Because right now, you're a total hit in all these locations.
Well, really what it boils down to is listening. Like you were talking about in your past segment, is if you listen, you get stronger by listening to those people around you. I learned a lot from Johnny Caraba. So I met with Johnny a bunch of times. He's been a great mentor, and I would go to him saying, hey, this isn't working. And he would tell me his stories. And he's like, this isn't working for me. So he would go to his regulars, his friends, people that are coming in on a regular basis, and that's where you get a lot of your information. When we first started, the menu was one thing, and then fast forward a year and a half to 2 years, we didn't make $1 for the first 2 years, not $1.
Wow.
I had a French restaurant in Rice Village called Bistro des Amis, House of Friends, and that was kind of providing money for my wife and my family and I, but not enough for the rest, and we had invested everything else into this first location. Well, 2 years after, we're just struggling. And finally we said, you know what, let's start listening. And we did. And that's how we changed the menu to what it is now, progressed every single year. And that's why the success has been there, is because we did listen and adapt.
Those are monumental words. Think about it. There are people in business, whether it's business in our personal lives, if you wouldn't have said those words and acted upon them, as far as we better start listening or let's start listening, there you are. It wouldn't have worked.
Mm-hmm. That is
but
the key.
You were smart enough to reach out for help and listen to the customers.
Yeah, I learned a lot, especially during that experience. And now we bring that into our culture now. So we talk about these meetings all the time. We talk about leadership. That's the number one thing we talk about. It's not managers. You can manage to make your bed in the morning, right? We talk about leaders. How do you lead? And the best leaders, in my mind, are those people that listen.
There's no doubt about it. That's incredible. Now, so here we are. We're talking with Matt Bryce with the Federal American Grill, founder, owner. As you have these 3 restaurants now, Matt, and again, they're busy every time I go, and I go at least once a week. Where do you go from here? You've got the 3 locations, and it sounds like you've got the formula for success. It's because when you bring it to the one, and I saw when the Katy one opened, how it was replicated by Hedwig Village. You get the Katy,
right.
That's working over there, and of course you also have a brunch on the weekends. Where do you go from here?
Well, other markets. We're talking about real estate here. The Woodlands is next. Actually, this morning I was just signing our lease for the Woodlands location located it's actually Oak Ridge North, and so it'll be on I-45, right on the east side of across from Landry's and the waterway over there, across from the Woodlands Mall. So that one should be open in January. So that's kind of the next market. And then we're looking at Cypress as well. And we're only going to grow as fast as, we can do it great. And so if we don't have the people, we're not doing it. I've already hired, we're talking 6-7 months out for this next location. And I've already hired the general manager and the kitchen manager, because that's how important the culture has to be for it to be successful.
Well, in fact, in Michael Berry, that's one of the reasons I stopped in the first time to your restaurant. But I know he's a fan of your restaurant. One of the things you do, in addition to having great restaurants people can go to, let's tell people about some of the other offerings. You cater and do parties and things like that, right?
Oh, yeah. We have a lot of private rooms. So we have an events coordinator that takes care of that as well, Catherine. She does an amazing job. So anybody that wants to have gatherings for real estate, corporate events or whatnot, we do those all on site. We have 2 private rooms at each location. We also rent out the bar and whatnot, so it's nice to have in-house. But if somebody wants something outside at their home or business or whatnot, we do catering events for that as well. So we're pretty open all that. And it could be full service or just drop off.
Because at each one of these locations, and I'm picturing right now the areas around them, there's a lot of homes where people are, we think about real estate, how popular outdoor areas are now. Mm-hmm. I mean, it just seems like a super opportunity for someone to say, I'm going to have a party. I'm going to call up Federal American Grill and have the food brought in. Well,
we certainly adapted to that because of, obviously, the COVID situation, and that was the savior for a lot of restaurants. If you didn't pivot, and then it wasn't part of our thing really in the beginning, it became that as, okay, well, no one can come in-house, so what do you do for business? And then we developed that, and it's been really amazing.
So of all the items on your menu, and I assume you eat there a lot, what are some of your favorites, or maybe the top 3 that you go to when you're there working or in between your work?
Well, without a doubt, the cheeseburger egg rolls are a fan favorite, and they are of mine too,
great.
But that's why I work out, so I can eat those, so just so you know. The Janice's meatloaf is on there because that was what my mom made me every week. I have a brother and my dad, and my mom would make us each a meal every week, and that was mine. So that's certainly a go-to for me.
That's a great one. And of course, the first time, last time I was there, I wanted to go lighter, and I had the citrus shrimp salad.
Oh, yeah.
And I found that to hit the spot, not just as far as being lighter, but it abounded with super flavors. Yeah, the big dinner salads are a huge hit on the menu. There's about 6 or 7 different varieties, from salmon salad, shrimp salad, your steak salad, and then the pecan chicken salad, which is pretty amazing too. So all those are a good variety, and they are big sellers because you can have all that without the guilt. For an example, is the cheeseburger bowl. That's a Cobb. Basically, that's a Cobb salad, but a cheeseburger. So you're not getting the carbs, but you're getting the fat. So it's really, you don't have to, if you're on that carb
keto diet, it's a good option for you.
And what about brunch? Now, I was at the Katy location once on a Sunday, right before noon. I had brunch. Now, do you have that on Saturday and Sunday or just Sunday?
We have it on Saturday and Sunday, and we just released a new menu that went live last week. So Katy, we didn't really do a whole lot of brunch yet because we were just getting our feet wet. We've been open 5 months, and we want to make sure we do it great. So we serve the regular menu up until just recently. So now, for the last 2 weeks, or last week or two, it's this new menu that we have rolled out now, so it's pretty exciting.
Give us an idea. I like when you were talking about leadership, but let's talk a little bit about risk. Anytime someone puts their money down, maybe it's a real estate property that we hope everything we buy that's real estate's going to go up. No guarantee, though. Same thing with we open a restaurant or any other kind of business. There's no guarantee that it's going to do well. However, here you are at the very beginning. You had the idea for the restaurant. That's a risk. It's taking off right now, and now you're going to open up another location. How do you know when it's time to take the next risk, or at least what's some of the thought process that goes through your mind as a successful restaurateur?
Well, we follow the economy, right? So what we do is we look at real estate all the time. And so for the Woodlands, for instance, you look at the traffic on I-45. You have 250, 275,000 cars a day. You have the right demographic. You have the right per capita income. All these homes within 5-10 mile radius, never mind Exxon and all this other thing. So we look at that and we look at, are the houses selling? Are they sitting there? Are people out there spending? So we watch the market a lot, to be honest with you. And so when you see all that moving, it's good time. Now, also the reason why I'm trying to move a little bit faster here, and I do feel we're prepared for, is because of the interest rates. So we can lock in low interest rates right now. These SBA programs are amazing for us. I have 3 of them already. But the interest rates, they're locking them in for 10-year fixed. They never did that before.
That's amazing. Give us a word as far as having, like Shelley, so many balls in the air. How do you stay organized as a business person? Oh,
without a doubt, my team. So what we do is, it's not like I do everything. I have learned, it took me a while, to delegate better. And so actually in my office, I have blessed to have marketing in our office. I have accounting in my office. I have a controller that works side by side in my office. And we have our events manager in our office. So basically, and we have a director of operations that oversees all the restaurants. So I'm in them every day, but he oversees them and I'll see things he doesn't see. I have a regional kitchen manager that oversees the kitchens. So we developed this team and we stay on traction. I actually learned by a book called Traction by Gino Wickman.
That's the name of the book,
yes.
Traction.
Yeah, I highly, highly recommend it for your personal life and for your business. And that's how I run every single one of our meetings. And I learned from him personally 18 years ago. So this keeps us on track to do your meetings have to be solid, an agenda, everything on each week to get things done to stay on track. And if you read that book, it might benefit you.
I think that's the next book I'm going to read. Now, let's Lauren Braun helped us put this interview together. Give us a quick word on Lauren. I had the opportunity. I don't know that she wanted to talk to me as long as she did, but I was driving that day looking at real estate. I was lonely. So once we talked, I'm like, tell me more. But she was delightful to talk to. So, Lauren, if you're listening, by the way, what a delight.
Definitely share with her. She should be here with me, actually. So Lauren is our marketing director. And Lauren came on with us about a year ago, and she was serving and bartending with us. And I was going to hire for marketing. It was the first time I'm hiring for this position. And, I always look inside our business first. We have 210 employees right now. It's pretty amazing. And so, but the word never got to her. So anyways, I almost hired this other woman. And then Lauren comes up to me and says, "Hey, Matt, you know what I went to school for?" And I said, "No, marketing." And I said, "You're hired."
There you go.
It was her personality. So anyway, since she's been taking over the marketing, probably 4 or 5 months now, she is just she's on it. She's the perfect person for it.
As I said, delightful. Give us a quick word before we close the segment. Consistency. In every service business, in every product, consistency is so important. But in the restaurant business, you can't hide it. Every meal has to be top-notch, exceed expectations. As the servers, the service has to be consistent as well. How do you grapple consistency?
Well, that is the key component to success for sure. Having systems, working hard on those systems, like training you were talking about earlier. We have a training program as well. And that's just one part of it. But it takes the culture for the consistency to be there. You can have all these systems and manuals and pictures. It'll get you maybe halfway. But if you don't have the culture, that's everything for your consistency. So they got to hear it from you, your passion, that it's not about the money. I don't care about that. Yeah, it's great to have it. But it's more the fact of, do you care about what you're doing? And everybody will follow and listen and do the same thing. And that's consistency for sure.
And Matt, before we close the segment, what else do you want people to know?
Just that we hope you have the best experience when you come in. And, the food's got to be great, atmosphere has to be great, but really it's about the people, service, and experience. And I hope that we get to see you soon.
At the Federal American Grill. Let's tell people where they are again, Matt.
We have one on Shepherd, 510 Shepherd. We have one in Katy on 99. And we have one right by Voss and I-10.
Boy, and each one of them, easy on and off for a super experience. Matt, thanks for being on the show.
Thanks for having me.
I say it all the time. Stay close to your Stewart Title Business Development Officer, and we have Tammy Barner from our Cypress location here on the show right now doing tremendous work 24/7. Tammy, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me back, Bill.
And that Tammy Barna, by the way, you're doing super work, Tammy, in the market. Let's tell people about your branch, your office right there in Cypress.
Stewart Title Cypress office is located approximately 25 miles northwest of downtown Houston. And we have a fabulous and convenient office right on the corner of 290 and Skinner. And Cypress is home to about 5 different master plan communities, and there's another one on the way. Another one coming up a little farther out. But what is so important about our company and our office is with those 5 different master plan communities, they all have their own fees. They have different homeowners associations. And the Cypress office has 4 very experienced escrow officers, and the whole team, there's 14 of us there. And you've got to have experience and knowledge about the area. Every one of our escrow officers has at least 15 years of experience, and one over 40.
And I think I know who that is. Let's tell people about her.
Well, Miss Sharon Bristow is our branch manager. Legendary, right, is Sharon Bristow. And a lot of the reason I do what I do, I have been a licensed real estate agent since 1983 and put that on hold when I started at the office there because Sharon has such a great, and that office has such a great reputation, and that's important. We have a lot of repeat customers, realtors that have been with us the entire 40 years, and new ones come along all the time. I love seeing Walzel, Shelley here with Walzel Properties. She has such a presence in the area as well. A lot of the agents from her office close with us. It's a great place to be, and all 14 ladies that work in that office are knowledgeable, caring. They're going to make that transaction as smooth as possible.
And in fact, the experience that Sharon has been at that office, right, for how many years?
Almost 41 years.
That is incredible.
Yeah.
So she knows what she's doing. You talk about experience. The other escrow officers, let's give them a hello.
Oh, absolutely. I'm so proud of each and every one of them. We have Carol Johnson. Another is Sarah Park and Elaine Merrithew. They have all been there with this office, with Sharon, for more than 15 years. So that experience and the time that they've been at that office speaks for itself. We have a lot of others, 4 other processors, 2 funders. We have post-closing ladies that work there in the office. Everybody's been there for more than 15 years, except myself, which is 5 years, and one other lady we hired recently to help fund all of our transactions.
And in fact, I say it all the time. The reason I say stay close to the Stewart Title Business Development Officer is because you are right there as a tremendous resource for real estate professionals and buyers and sellers all the time.
I am. I'm there, and I try to keep up with what CE or mandatory continuing education classes that realtors need to keep up with. There is one that I will be having on August 26th.
It's my birthday.
Oh.
Just saying. Okay, but keep going. It is.
Okay,
yeah.
well, mine's August 27th. So
hey, happy birthday to us. Okay,
happy birthday to us. But on August 26th, we are having an ethics. It's a National Association of Realtors requirement now. It used to be part of the legal classes, but it's a 3-hour class that I'm hosting on August 26th at 9:30 in the morning. I've got another great show coming up, or presentation, and it is with Dr. Ted Jones, chief economist, that gives us great insight on what is going on in the market, what to look for economically. We don't usually do a mid-year, but things have been so crazy. I think it's needed.
It is.
So that will be on August 5th. And something that...
And is that going to be at your office?
That is actually going to be at our office on Sam Houston Parkway and the Beltway. Sam Houston Parkway at Fallbrook. We're doing it there because of the space needed. Now, that will be a hybrid class. We will offer it Zoom and in person. But Ted Jones is such a phenomenal and entertaining and informational individual. It is great to come and see him do his presentation.
To say the least, yes.
Right.
He's incredible. Also, Tammy, what else should we know? Any other things coming up?
Yes, one fabulous thing that I think is needed, and that is a platting and a survey class that is going to be September 9th. A lot of realtors don't understand the difference. I've found that most realtors don't know really the difference between platting and surveying. You know, you've got to keep your clients from spending a tremendous amount of money after they close, and this is something that's definitely needed, and I cannot wait to offer this class.
That's going to be tremendous.
It is. It is.
So let's tell people, before we close the segment, anything else you want people to know? You're doing incredible things all the time. Your office, I've been with the company almost 8 years, and your office has always been super busy and very active in the 8 years I've been with the company.
Yeah, they do a great job, and it makes my job easy, and I'm very happy to do it. To tell people about the Stewart Title office in Cypress. Again, we're located on the corner of 290 and Skinner Road, and we have a tremendous group out there that can make sure your transaction goes smoothly.
And if someone wants to reach you, Tammy Barna, what should they do?
You can call me at 713-203-8640, or you can reach me at Tammy, TAMMY.Barna, B as in boy, ARNA, @Stewart.com.
And the number again is?
713-203-8640.
And it's very easy. You could also Google Tammy Barna. The name will come up if you want to find out about what's going on. Tammy, thanks for being on the show.
Bill, thanks for having me here. It's always a pleasure.
Real Estate Matters with Stewart Title would not be possible without our partner, Stewart Insurance. With a focus in real estate and a special focus on real estate brokers, Stewart Insurance creates insurance plans to address the risks facing our industry today. They invest a significant amount of time helping real estate broker owners offset and manage the risks. Once again, the icing on the cake, the insurance icing on the cake, that is. John Bramlett with Stewart Insurance. Hey, John.
Captain, always a pleasure to be with you.
I have to say it. I want to buy some real estate, and I want to celebrate at the Federal American Grill very soon.
Absolutely. I think that would be an excellent day. You go buy the real estate, and I'll treat you to the dinner at Federal American.
All right. And that, I'll hold you to that. As far as insurance, though, each week you bring up topics that relate in such a way to the real estate industry and people in general that just have to have insurance. What have you had today?
Well, last week we discussed, kind of one of the three ways that Stewart Insurance can support you and your real estate business, being from an educational perspective. We talked about the CE classes that we offer, the Property Insurance Essentials class, the Real Estate Liability class, and the Two Sides of Water class. Another way that we support our real estate partners is what we're listening to right now. The opportunity to bring Real Estate Matters to our listeners and bring Real Estate Matters to the real estate community in the market. With all this great content that we've had today, with discussions about the best ways to buy and sell, and we learned about training development, and we learned about leadership. So the content that we are able to provide through Real Estate Matters is really, really fantastic. And today I wanted to talk a little bit about the third way that we can support our real estate partners, and that's to be your insurance partner. We are an independent agency owned by Stewart Title. And because we're independent, we can work with a variety of insurance partners to work with their needs and to determine, what's the best partner for those real estate needs. Because we're part of the Stewart Title family, our goal is always to be the insurance resource for real estate. So that's what we focus on every day. I think secondly is the fact that we can help you both with your real estate business for real estate business professionals and their insurance needs, as well as families and individuals. So for a family or an individual, we can help with their home insurance, auto, flood, wind, motorcycle, vacation homes.
Umbrella policies.
Umbrella policies is a great policy as well. So we have a variety of ways to work with our individuals, families, and friends. And then from a real estate business professionals, we work with real estate brokers, property managers, title and attorney agents to provide them the professional coverage that they need. So whether it be a professional liability plan or a cyber liability plan, we can work with them on a workers' comp plan, general liability or commercial property, commercial auto, and we do surety and security bonds as well.
And if you laid that out as a menu, like a restaurant, that'd be a giant menu. It'd be a book, in fact.
Absolutely.
All those offerings.
Absolutely. It's not quite as tasty as Matt's menu, but I think we will. Have one that's nice, and it is very much. Matt talked about listening to his clients and what was important to them, and that's what we've been able to do over the last many years. Is what are the things that are important to them? So that's why we really try to focus on that real estate niche.
And on the idea and the concept of listening, I know every time I call the company, Stewart Insurance, that is, your associates do listen to the needs, and I'm simply taking care of home insurance, car insurance, things like that. But sometimes they know the questions that I should ask, but I don't.
Well, and that's really the dynamic that we focus on, is this idea of being properly insured. And it doesn't matter, because everything is important to the client we're working with. So, an auto policy is just as important to us as somebody's professional liability coverage. So it's a matter of what's important to you. What are your needs? What are you trying to accomplish? What are the risks that you're concerned about that you want to minimize if possible? And then based on that conversation, if you're willing to have that conversation, then we can work with you to make sure you're properly insured.
And that's the key word. Once again, people that listen to this show here in Houston and hear all the different insurance advertisements that are out there, we're the only ones that I ever hear talking about being properly insured. Not just insured, but being properly insured and knowing the right risk, the ones that we're willing to take and the ones that we want the insurance companies to take care of for us.
Absolutely. If you're an individual and you rent an apartment and you have a car, your insurance needs are going to be different than a family of 5 that have a 4-bedroom home and they've got 3 drivers in the home and they've got 4 cars and they have a pool and maybe a vacation property. Or if you're a real estate broker and it's you and your husband and one other associate, your needs from an insurance coverage potentially could be different than somebody like Walzel that we were visiting with earlier that have 1,100 agents.
That's right. And needs are always changing. Through the year, at the beginning of a year, we find that we might need to add certain things. Maybe we're buying another property. Maybe one of our children became 16 and we have to get a car. And then the flip side is it changes the other way as well. So we have to always be constantly vigilant that we are properly insured. Stewart Insurance is there to help.
Absolutely. And that's part of the questions that we talk about is what's changed in your life? Have you added a driver? Have you added a car? Have you expanded your home? Are you going smaller? With your business, have you added a different service offering? So have you added property management? Have you added a broker's pricing opinion? Have you started doing multiple offices? Have you added additional employees? Have you had greater growth? All of those things can affect the kind of coverage that you need to consider.
And not to mention the ever-present, we see articles all the time. We hear about cyber crime going on a rampant basis, and that's still going on. Stewart Insurance is there to help in that way as well.
Absolutely. We work diligently to stay up to speed on what our insurance partners are and are not covering, and then work with them to make sure that the coverage that they're providing is coverage that's beneficial for our clients, because it is going to be unique for the real estate industry versus some other business segment. And, as we've talked about several times on the show, the cyber fraudsters are focusing heavily on our industry for a variety of reasons.
And they're pretty good with computers, too.
They're pretty good with computers, exactly.
In fact, it dawns on me as we're talking about this, I have a feeling we might have a cyber show coming up. We haven't had that special in a while, but through the years, as I tell people to go to stewart.com/radio, there they can find at least 3 editions complete with FBI agents, other experts in cyber crime that goes on right there in our show archives.
Absolutely. That's one of the beauties of Real Estate Matters is whether you go to KPRC's website or the iHeart Media app where you can see past shows, YouTube that you mentioned earlier, or stewart.com/Houston. there's really great educational content that's there that's worth, a few minutes each day just to take a time and listen.
Indeed it is. And John, before we close this segment down, what should we know? What else?
Well, a couple of things, Bill. One, as I've said a few times on the show recently, we're growing, which is exciting news. And we're looking for some team members on our personal line side to help our clients with their home, auto, flood insurance. So if our listeners out there have an interest in being part of our team, we would love to hear from them. They can reach out to us at 866-798-2827. That's 866-798-2827, or shoot us an email at stewartinsurance@stewart.com. And obviously, if our listeners are looking to be properly insured, they can call us at 866-798-2827 or shoot us an email at stewartinsurance.com.
In fact, they could be in Dallas and call that number, San Antonio, Austin. They could be on their way from California to Austin to go into their new home and call as they're driving.
Absolutely. I'm working with a client this morning on a renewal for their professional liabilities policy, and they're based out of Austin.
And that number is?
866-798-2827.
Thank you so much, John Bramlett. And before we close things down, we now have back on the show Shelley Walzel with Walzel Properties. Shelley, before we close things down, what else should we know?
You can reach our office at Walzel Properties, 832-674-4960, walzelproperties.com. My personal email address is walzelproperties@gmail.com. You can always reach out to me personally. I'll even give you my cell number, 713-504-4874, 713-504-4874. All of my agents are saved in my phone, and they can reach out to me anytime as well.
What's so interesting is that you're knowledgeable all these many years, not just in the Houston market and the dynamics that affect us right here, but the fact that you have such a presence in the 4 other markets, the major markets of Texas. And in fact, Texas is so popular, that's gigantic.
Yeah.
So,
well, you do what you love and you call it work.
Once again, the phone number is
832-674-4960.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brooke Walzel, for being on the show as well.
Thank you so much for having me.
And here he is, restaurateur Matt Bryce with the Federal American Grill.
Well, I wanted to say a couple of things. So first, thanks again for having me on, Bill. Most importantly, we are in a great position, very blessed to be able to give back. So I just wanted to mention in August, we have Houston Restaurant Weeks coming up. So that is great for the Houston Food Bank. So please look at your participating restaurants and go to any one of those on that list. And also at our restaurant, Federal, we do one particular event, and this is for Camp Hope, and it's for veterans with PTSD. Really involved with them. We're trying to do as much as we can for our veterans. And so in August, one drink is our Old Forester whiskey, and the proceeds from that whiskey, every time it's ordered, goes to Camp Hope for that month. Well, actually for the whole year, but it starts in August. So really excited about that, and I hope people will come out and support.
A super worthy cause there, no doubt about it. And restaurant weeks, I've already scoped them out. That's something like I do just to get ready for it. I've checked your menus out already. So Matt Bryce, Federal American Grill. Tell them the locations again, Matt.
510 Shepherd Drive by St. Thomas High School, Boss and I-10 in Hedwig Village, and 99 in Katy.
And thank you all for listening to Real Estate Matters with Stewart Title. I'm your host, Bill Napick, together with John Bramlett, Tom Carpentier, Tammy Barner. We thank you for listening, and don't forget, check us out at stewart.com/radio. That's stewart.com/radio. Thanks for listening.